All right, here we go. Top of the hour. You're watching CNN. I'm Brooke Baldwin. In the U.S. fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria, it is the group calling the plays. And U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, apparently has just taken a hit by supporters of the enemy, not on the ground, but online. Take a look. You'll see for yourself. This is what you get if you visit CENTCOM's Twitter page. Big block letters here. Account suspended. The page suspended after purported ISIS sympathizers hacked it, along with CENTCOM's YouTube channel. But before the Twitter account was suspended, this is what you would have seen. Hackers changed the top frame, the top profile to this mass militant. You see the word cyber caliphate and also the words, I love you, ISIS. When you looked at the tweets, one listed what appears to be some private information about members of the U.S. military. While reading, they tweeted, "We won't stop. We know everything about you, your wives, and children." With me, David Ibsen, Executive Director of the Counter-Extremism Project. But first, let's just go to Washington to our correspondent there, Joe Johns. And Joe, when you look at the information, yes, sensitive, but according to Pentagon, nothing classified was posted, yes?
Right, and I think that's an important distinction. Nothing classified has been released. Clearly, it's a major embarrassment for the U.S. government. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest, sort of addressing that question, asked about it today at the briefing, was downplaying it, pointing out there's a big difference between a larger data breach, for example, a hack into the Pentagon mainframe computers, which is almost impossible, and the hacking of a Twitter or YouTube account, which is what happened in this case. So shortly after, you have accounts on YouTube, Twitter belonging to Central Command, publishing Islamist videos, pictures, messages, and you read them, things like American soldiers, we're coming, watch your back, you'll see no mercy, infidels, ISIS is already here, we're in your PCs in each military base with Allah's permission, we're in CENTCOM now, we won't stop, we know everything about you, your wives and children. So it was a little bit after noon that CENTCOM confirmed that the Twitter account was compromised, the account now suspended. The hackers' actual identities and their affiliation have not been confirmed, important to say that, but they did flood CENTCOM's accounts with all that jihadist propaganda, and they also published what they claim to be internal U.S. military documents, which turn out to be addresses and names and addresses of military personnel and their families, which is the most troubling thing, but nothing classified, Brooke.
We also now apparently have heard from Twitter, not saying much, saying yes, it was a hack, no more comment beyond that. Joe Johns, you mentioned Josh Earnest talked about this in the White House Daily Briefing. David, I'm going to come to you in just a second. This is exactly what he had to say.
I can tell you this is something that we're obviously looking into and something that we take seriously. However, just a note of caution to folks as they're covering this story. There's a pretty significant difference between what is a large data breach and the hacking of a Twitter account.
All right, David, how significant is this?
I think it is significant, and while we may want to be cautious, and we can note that this is a Twitter account and not a classified mainframe, we can't be dismissive. Already we've seen that these extremists have gained incredible traction on social media platforms and have gone from utilizing them very effectively to mobilize and recruit and propagandize to now really engage in cyber attacks, not just against groups such as ours or against private but against the U.S. government. And
that was the point I was asking you earlier. We were talking in commercial. I said, what are you most worried about? And you said that their effectiveness on platforms such as social media. What about your group? You study these sorts of things. You had been warning Twitter for months that this kind of thing could happen.
We have, and we've noted from the outset of our work that while extremism has been around for a long time, the extremists seem to be using certain kind of 21st century communications tools more effectively than we are to spread their message and to radicalize. And we've raised this issue with social media platforms such as Twitter, and the response has not been as urgent and as comprehensive as we would like.
Who could be capable? How do they go about, they're working now to try to trace back to the genesis of the hack, to try to figure out who this was? I mean, you see, again, if we want to throw it up there, I don't know if we do, at the top of the, here we go, cyber caliphate with the words, I love you, ISIS. could be a bunch of different people.
Yeah, it could be, and that's part of the problems. I think that's why you need actors from all aspects of society, the government, private sector, but even the companies, the private sector actors themselves. One thing we've seen when we track this information and the identities of these cyber jihadists is that very quickly they can change their profiles, change their handles. If they get removed, they pop up again right away.
Wow, to your point about sophistication and effectiveness, right?
Yeah.
David Ibsen, thank you very much, Executive Director of the Counter Extremism Project.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, very much.